It is my privilege and pleasure on behalf of the UJ Library to welcome you all to the second day of our first virtual Teacher Librarian webinar. We are honored to be joined by our Executive Director, Prof. Maria from ARP, our guest speakers, Dr. Lorette Jacobs, Mr. Bilal Kathrada, Dr. Graham Dampier, and Dr. Jacqueline Bachela. Our next speaker for today is Dr. Lorette Jacobs. Our first presentation is titled "The Internet of Things, Exploring its Relevance to Create Smart School Library Services." It is by Dr. Lorette Jacobs, who is a senior lecturer at the Department of Information Science at Unisa. Her interests range from records management to the use of ICTs in information practices, information literacy development, curriculum development, and the improvement of teaching and learning practices in higher education. Dr. Lorette Jacobs, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ivy. Good afternoon, everyone, and a heart welcome and a big thank you for UJ for inviting me to this session. I'm really excited to share with you this topic and I hope we could actually deliberate a bit, but I hope that there will be lots and lots of questions. As Ivy said, I'm from the Department of Information Science at Unisa, and I've got lots of passions, one of them in information technology. So to start off with, I want to ask you, what if you can improve your library services post-COVID-19? What if it's possible for you to develop and offer new services as a teacher librarian? And if I could tell you that it is possible and that there is a way, would you believe me? What is really important is to consider the changing environment in which we live and work. Libraries are no longer the focus point of access to information. We now have the internet and the web, and many users use this to access vast volumes of information. The fact is that because of that, the role and function of libraries must change. We must become facilitators of information instead of just providers of information. And what Prof. Maria just said about the changes in UJ and the way in which the staff is going to be at the focus point where the changes are happening is actually great news. So what exactly is the problem? Well, for me, in the school library environment, the biggest problem is that there's a big discrepancy between the haves and the have-nots. There are many children out there who are unable to access information, who has got limited capacity, capability, tools, techniques that they can actually use to help them to find information. What we want is this little girl with her technology that actually provides her with access to information, because truly, if we don't have access to information, how can we improve our lives, improve our decisions that we make, improve the way we think, and develop as human beings? So for me, transformation is absolutely imperative and require us to use the modern tools and technology to offer extensive and advanced customized information services. So what is the possible solution? To use technology in a manner that provides access to information to all those that may need it, when they need it, and in the most cost-effective way. In order to do that, what if I tell you that a possible solution can be the use of the Internet of Things, and that by using it, we can actually improve access and make sure that our children has got the best information that possibly is available for their education and for their development. So what is this thing called the Internet of Things? Well, it was coined in 1999 by a guy called Calvin Ashton. He's a British technology pioneer, and he referred to it as the use of sensors and actuators to connect objects with radio frequency identification technology. Now, many of you should or may have known or have heard about this, Those are the little strips that we use to put in the books, and then when people walk out, it beep, 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 beeps. That is a radio frequency identification technology tool. In all the years, this has also advanced, so it's not a long strip anymore. It's actually something that is so small and tiny that it is not identifiable by the naked eye. So the Internet of Things is based on the view that physical and virtual things have different identities and different virtual personalities, and that these can be used as intelligent interfaces to integrate information from objects into a network where the data and information can be shared. Now, this is a mouthful, but what it actually means is it is an environment in which any object or animals or people, if you have a chip, are provided with unique identifiers and the ability to transfer data over a network. And as you can see from the little image there, it can literally be anything, from your phone to an aeroplane, to a watch, to your car. So anything with a chip, an identifier, can actually be linked to the internet. For this Internet of Things to actually function effectively, there are three major pillars. First of all, an object must be identifiable. So it must have a unique number. It must be able to communicate, meaning that it has to be linked to some sort of a network. And thirdly, it must be able to interact, meaning that its information and its data needs to be stored somewhere where it can be transferred to other objects. For this, as I said, we mainly use radio frequency identification. As you can see from the image there, it's a basic item. It can be your clothes, it can be your shopping, it can be your cell phone, anything that has got a RFID identification in. This information is then linked with a tag, with a reader, and that reader doesn't need to be one of the readers in the library. It can be any kind of readers. It can even be a reader outside of our scope. That then goes into a software package where it is saved and the information is stored on a network. This RFID technology is incorporated into the internet to improve the transmission and communication between these objects. It helps to identify the IP address, because each tag has got its own IP address that is stored from various platforms to further help with the promotion of wireless communication. And the aim is to store all data via cloud computing to enhance its interoperability, meaning its ability to work with and interact with other objects. This is just a schematic way of how it looks. You've got your access network parts, which is all the things down here. That is your smartphone, your traffic device, for example, your air conditioning device. It can be a health monitoring device, any devices that you want to link then to the internet via cloud computing. So there's lots and lots of service running, and these applications are then able to talk to one another as well as to you, the user. So what has this got to do with school libraries? Well, if we can apply this Internet of Things to school libraries, we can actually automatically capture the information needs of users, because they can tell us what it is that they want. This information can be captured and shared, and as a student or a learner then comes in, they can actually be shown to information that's relevant to them. It can provide resources to meet the needs. So because the system already knows what the learner wants, it can actually indicate to them what kind of sources are available that can stimulate their interest, and it can amalgamate smart technologies to offer interactive services, meaning that you can actually have a smartphone on which a message can be sent to a student or a learner once information becomes available, to make them aware of the fact that that information is actually available. So what are these smart libraries? Smart libraries refer to a huge intelligent network between people, processes, data, and things which are related to the Internet of Things. So everything must be connected. The utilization of technologies enables libraries to mine identify, organize, and analyze user information behavior to offer library services that are uniquely specific to the user needs. Smart libraries are unconstrained by physical and virtual space, and it is there to support sustainability of access to information. The aim is for different kinds of information and objects to communicate with one another so that the user needs can be complied with. By using the Internet of Things, a smart library becomes a creative and innovative organism that improves flexibility, responsiveness, and interaction of services. And as you can see from the little image there, there's quite a number of things in the library space that can be changed, improved with the use of the Internet of Things, ranging from self-management to self-checkouts, to anti-theft devices, to book drops, to checking in and checking out your own library service books. So again, what does that have to do with school libraries? Well, if we look at the function of a school library, it's definitely there for educational support, to create a love of literature and reading, to promote knowledge and use of technology tools, enhance information literacy, promote creative thinking, encourage critical analysis. And if you remember yesterday, Dr. Connie said that what is really important in our space at the moment is digital literacy, meaning that we have to teach our young children or school children to understand media, communication, collaboration, ICT, digital information literacy, as well as COVID literacy relating to social engagement, hygiene, and health considerations. So creating a smart libraries for Internet of Things means that we can actually look at inventory control, meaning that we can check the movement of our items, circulation. Because of RFID technology, you can manage activities like issue and return. The user can actually do it themselves, do it via a mobile app, update their library cards, manage the books borrowed and overdues, user identification. Each person may have a card with a sensor, so when they come to library or when they type in the card identification code, it can identify the person and send them specific information that they may need or be interested in. It may be used for the reservation of books, because it's fairly easy now for a student or a learner or somebody that wants to use a library to look on their smartphone, reserve a book via that. It can also be used for mobile referencing and for assistive technology, where smartphones are used to provide features such as text to speech, touch navigation, hand-free operations, and this is especially for people with disabilities, that assistive technology is really, really important. So where do we start as librarians working in schools, or librarians in community libraries, or librarians in academic libraries? Well, again, our biggest problem is there's too little people at the moment, or too few people at the moment, who actually has access to these vast technological advances. There are too many that do not have access, and that is problematic. So what needs to be done? First of all, if you look in your environment, if you think about your library, can you identify one or two possibilities where objects can be linked to one another, where once the objects have been linked, it can be made available or accessible to your users? Can you devise an app? Is it possible to link your OPAC to the app? Is it possible to send reminders to your users of books overdue? Secondly, search for opportunities of collaboration, of funding and of support. Yesterday when we had a session, there was a whole discussion about the value and importance of joining with university students. So are there students in a university context that can design or devise an app for you, make it part of their studies? Is it possible? What kind of opportunities are there out there? Prof. Janssen said, you only have to look, and that is really important. The third thing, educate yourself. An educated person knows where to look and how to look. And as we are moving into this fourth industrial revolution, which actually hit us quite hard with this COVID-19, the question is, are you educated enough to use the technology available to make changes? And fourthly, educate your learners and instill in them a sense of excitement and love for information. It is wonderful to see children being excited about going to the library, having to have access to technology and seeing what's out there and trying it out. So educate them, create a sense of excitement in them. In terms of redefining yourself, the question is, are you a teacher? Are you a librarian? Are you an information service manager? Are you an information literacy leader, a technology specialist, a web developer, a budget manager, a reading advocate, a skills developer? You have to be all of these things in this modern day in order to provide support for the students and the learners that you are engaged with. And the possibilities may be endless. If you just go onto the web and you Google possible software that already exists, you can have a look at ScanMaker, which is already in existence, where you can actually document information directly onto your phone, your tablet, or computer. It is translated into more than 40 languages, which may also help us with our problems of mother tongue speakers and their difficulty in learning because of a lack of information. There's also SweetRush, which is a customized training and offers real-time feedback and tools like competitive games, audio, visual animation to help increase participation and retention. We want our children to come to the library. We want them to enjoy the experience. What is a better way than to use competitive games and audio or visual animation to get them interested? I know there's also limitations. Technology is a limitation. So also is knowledge, infrastructure, and funding. But if you can overcome these, the opportunities are immense. There's opportunities for information commons, to get people enthusiastic, to develop innovation, and also to enhance mobility so that people can actually access information, not just by going to the library, but in any way. And I want to leave you with this. The only thing that you absolutely have to know is the location of the library. This doesn't mean that it needs to be a physical location. It means that we have to rethink our thinking and change our behavior so that we can provide this access to anybody, no matter where and no matter how. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lorette Jacobs, for that very insightful and informative presentation about smart libraries. You posed two critical questions for us to grapple with in the beginning. What is it that we could offer? What is it that we could do to improve the library services that we offer post-COVID-19? Is it possible to develop and offer new services as a teacher? I am certain that a lot of us will be reflecting on the questions that you posed. Thank you very much.
The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.